Hi, everybody. My name is Rohit Sethi, and I'm the CEO of Security Compass. I'm here to talk to you today about building secure and compliant industrial control system software faster. And I'd say it's not really just for industrial control systems, but really anyone who manufactures products that are software enabled. So, you're no stranger to this. If you're attending this conference, you understand the cybersecurity challenges in manufacturing. One thing that I really want to hone in on is the need to simultaneously address the need for greater speed to market. We're always getting pressure to get our products out faster, but the need to sustain adequate cybersecurity and compliance at the same time. These two things are on a bit of a collision course. Now, there's a number of trends that have been happening, a rise in incidents, for example, in control systems, software applications, embedded devices, difficulty in integrating security and compliance into product development life cycles and engineering workflows, lack of cross-functional engagement in security governance, and high costs and operational constraints in software and firmware updates. Often, these are the things that we all have to patch when there's a security vulnerability. And it disproportionately affects all of the customers who use that product in their infrastructure. Now, a lot of people, over time have gravitated to enterprise security certifications like the SOC 2 Type 2, ISO 27001, audits and certifications as a way to prove that their enterprise is secure, to the extent possible. And these certifications are broad. They cover enterprise security. But the question is, how well do they cover product security and software supply chain security? Do you know, for example, if you are purchasing a product from somebody with one of the designations, that they have integrated security holistically into their development lifecycle? Do you have assurance of that? Now, most of you, I imagine, are familiar with the executive order from Joe Biden that came out a little bit earlier this year that was about a number of things in cybersecurity, but there was a specific piece on supply chain security. And as a result of that executive order from the president, there were a number of things that were kicked off, including NIST had an enhancing software supply chain security workshop. And in that workshop, Jeff Green, who's the acting senior director for cybersecurity at the White House National Security Council, said this. He said, the most important part of the executive order, the part that can do the most good nationally and probably globally, is the section on software supply chain security. In fact, he even said that when they went back to look at the work they did in the NIST cybersecurity framework, which I'm sure most practitioners are familiar with, and they look at this standard, it has a similar weighting. In fact, he said that it was as important, if not more important, than the work that they had done with the cybersecurity framework. So clearly, there is a lot of focus on people who build software-enabled products and how they've integrated security into it in a way that we haven't seen previously. So maybe I go back to the previous question on enterprise security certifications. How well do they cover product security? And the reality is they're not product security certifications. They may have some sections and specific controls on integrating security into the development and acquisition of software and systems, but there's light coverage, right? And so the market has started to turn to understand this and acknowledge it. So we're seeing things like the ISA secure certification and the ISA 62443 set of standards that are specific to building in security in industrial controls and automation systems. And we're also seeing PCI, the payment card industry, has created the software security framework, which again talks about the security of products, payment applications in this particular case, although that might expand with the understanding that the general standards didn't go specifically enough into how important is it to integrate security into your development process and lifecycle. And as a result of that executive order, there's more attention being paid on some of the work that NIST has already started, which is for example, secure software development framework, which is in draft, but likely will turn into some kind of standard or at least guideline that people can adhere to and be able to show that they have integrated security into the development process and they're building, secure products for their customers. So I think it's important to distinguish enterprise and product security. And the way I like to think of it is product security is really focused on the overall customer, the product that you ship to the customer. Have you integrated security throughout the life cycle, including in operations and maintenance? Whereas enterprise security is about protecting the organization's data, right? And how well is it all protected? But it's not specifically focused on the products that you're shipping and how secure those products are. And that has some real differences, I think, when you look at the disciplines in product security. For example, you're often customer facing. More customers are asking about product security every day. And that's why you have the emergence of standards and certifications like the ISA Secure designation. The recent executive order we talked about specifically cites software supply chain and critical software. And what we're going to start to see is the federal government requiring vendors to integrate security into the development process in a way that they can assess. And the reality is this is a trend that's not going to go away. Once people understand how important it is that the products they buy are secure, it's going to apply to every kind of product, because this is a systematic root cause issue that has existed for a very long time and has only really recently got the kind of attention that we're seeing here. So question to you, if you work at a company that manufactures any kind of product that is software enabled, how long is it before your customers or regulators require you to ship secure products and be able to provide auditable evidence of that? And what we often hear from manufacturers is that they are integrating security into the development process, but when we dig into it a little bit more, what they're doing is a find and fix approach. That is, they are finding vulnerabilities in code and they're fixing it through tools like static analysis and dynamic analysis and interactive application security testing and a bunch of downstream protections to make sure that they detect attacks. But what they're not doing is a plan and prevent mindset where they've embedded security right from the onset of the product lifecycle. And so if you're just doing testing, odds are you're going to have a tough time complying with these more holistic standards that we're starting to see emerge. So if you do want to integrate security into the product lifecycle, there's a few different ways you can do it. One, and probably the de facto default way that most companies do it, is spreadsheets and documents. You have security architects and experts who essentially work with the development teams, have documented security standards and guidelines. They might have a big Excel spreadsheet that has 1,000 different standards in it, and they hand it over to development teams to try to unpack, understand, and get something out of it, get some value out of it. And typically they're also doing manual work. They're sitting down and doing threat modeling sessions and drawing out diagrams as a way to integrate security in. The challenge, of course, with this is all the challenges you would typically expect with manual processes. They slow things down. They require a lot of face-to-face, human collaboration or virtual, but that there's meetings that have to happen. You lack the auditability you require for certifications if you're just using static documents. It's hard to make changes. So those are the challenges with spreadsheets and documents. Now, another approach is to use governance, risk, and compliance tools. These are tools that are typically built for security or risk management compliance teams, and they're holistic. They cover all of enterprise security. Part of the challenge with using a tool like a GRC tool is they're not specifically focused on product development. So for example, they're not concrete and actionable guidance that you would give to development teams to understand what they need to do to integrate security in. What you'll typically have is a place to upload audit artifacts on very coarse-grained controls. For example, show that you've integrated security into the development process. Might be the kind of thing that the GRC tool says. So it may not be sufficient to meet your compliance needs, probably not actionable enough to give to a development team to understand what they have to do concretely and make part of their backlog. So again, ultimately, the net result of either of these approaches is you're slowing down the development teams, and ultimately you're slowing down revenue generation. Not to mention the fact that it's often hard to be consistent and to get the kind of specific security controls and requirements that you need to the appropriate product team at the right time. So the third approach is to look for tools that are built for product security. And that's what I'm here to talk to you today, is a little bit about our product, SD Elements. And I caveat that by saying, of course, a tool alone is never enough. You need people, process, and technology. But with the right kind of tooling to support your people and process, you can have great results, which we'll talk about. So let's talk about SD Elements. This is our product. It is a web-based application. And the way you start using SD Elements is with gathering information about a project that you're working on a component, an infrastructure application of some kind, or any kind of product, really. And what you do is you either describe that product through an easily configurable survey like this, or it's all API enabled, so you can integrate it to some upstream system that may already have this kind of metadata, like a CMDB, for example. And then that information leads to a risk classification. You can classify the application automatically based on some preset criteria. For example, because it has personally identifiable information, we're going to classify it as a critical risk application. Based off of that, our engine crawls a vast content library that we're updating all the time with a number of different programming languages, compliance requirements, et cetera, and pulls out a set of very specific, actionable controls or security requirements that development team can look at and implement quickly. And what we do is we actually integrate that into the tools that they're already using, such as Jira. So they'll get the detailed requirements, code samples, short relevant training modules in the issue tracker that they're using. And that'll live alongside typically their functional requirements. So it's just some of the work they have to do. And as they make progress on that work, the SD Elements interface can keep track of that progress. So you can show that you're building a secure system, but also you can even show how you're complying with a particular standard. And then finally, we talked about this being a plan and prevent kind of approach, but we also integrate with the find and fix approaches. So we integrate with scanners, for example, to show that there was a vulnerability detected in a particular control, but also critically, where did the scanners not look? And, by implementing the security control or requirement up front, you have some auditable evidence that that particular control was taken care of. Then, after this is all done, you have robust reporting. You can look at security across the organization. You can look at compliance across the organization, or you can look at specific products. You can slice and dice data in a number of different ways. And of course, the audit trail helps with compliance. So there's really three core manual processes that most of our clients use SD Elements to automate. That's threat modeling, secure development and requirements, and security risk assessments. It's really helping you to integrate security into your processes and have something that you can use as evidence when you sell those products to customers. The results, if you do this, are significant. So keeping in mind we're an automation tool, we've had a number of different results from our customers. A service provider took their threat modeling time and reduced it by 74%, from 231 hours to 60 hours. We also had multiple industrial IoT manufacturers achieve savings of 30 to 60% in their secure development and compliance. We had another IoT manufacturer take their security risk assessment process time and reduced it by 92.5%, from 40 hours to 3 hours. If you're interested, you can learn more about a specific customer, Johnson Controls, who used us on their path to ISA 62443 set of standard certifications. And they provide some specific information about why they selected SD Elements and how it's helped them to provide cost savings and improve their speed to market. We've also recently announced a partnership with the International Society of Automation. So the body that creates the ISA 62443 standards, which allows us to be help to automate the compliance with these standards. We've also joined the ISA Secure Compliance Institute, and we're contributing our expertise as technical members. Overall, we work with a number of different industries, very security sensitive industries, to make sure they're integrating security into their development process. Those include banks, that includes defense and government, includes some of the largest technology companies and payment processors in the world, and numerous enterprise customers in a variety of industries. So, we really are the de facto standard for product security and building security into the development lifecycle. And overall, Security Compass, apart from our SD Elements product, we help people balance cybersecurity risk with time to market. That's what we focus on. We have training for developers and members of the development team. And we also have advisory where we do professional services around things like red teaming, penetration testing, cloud security, etc. So that's it for me today. I hope that you found this session informative. Look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to contact me. And if we can help, happy to talk further. Thank you very much.